The following portion of Daytime is sponsored by Older, Lundy, Alvarez, Koch, and Martino.
Domestic violence is a serious problem, and here in Florida, victims have many legal options to consider. Joining us now to explain how an attorney can be helpful in the process is Michael Lundy. He is a managing partner at Older, Lundy, Alvarez, Koch, and Martino. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So why is it important to get an attorney involved after being a victim of domestic violence, and when should that call be made?
So the first call really should be to law enforcement. They have special units that address this issue and are highly skilled and knowledgeable about all the resources that are available to victims of domestic violence. The second call really should be to an attorney, because there is a legal process to obtaining an injunction for protection against further domestic violence, and you want an attorney to help you navigate through that process.
I suspect, Michael, that when most people think about domestic violence, they assume it's between a husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. But can domestic violence be committed by somebody outside of an intimate relationship? In other words, do the parties have to live together?
They don't have to live together. The legal standard can change depending on how people reside. If they don't reside together, typically the law requires a showing of more than one act of domestic violence. But it certainly is not only unique to domestic partners.
And what actions would you say are defined as domestic violence? In other words, what would warrant an injunction for protection?
So our statute lists a litany of acts that qualify as domestic violence. They include things like assault, battery, stalking, certain types of harassment, things of that nature.
And what is an injunction for protection exactly? What kind of safeguards does that provide the victim?
An injunction for protection is a court order given by a civil judge that prohibits the perpetrator of violence from going anywhere near the victim or certain other places like the victim's place of work or school or home. The existence of that order enables a victim to contact law enforcement at any time there's a violation, and law enforcement will typically act immediately to prevent a further act of violence, and oftentimes to arrest the perpetrator who's violated the injunction.
How and when does an attorney get involved in this process?
The attorney gets involved typically right after law enforcement has been involved, but that's not always the case. You want to involve them as soon as possible when there's been an act, and that's because you want to avail yourself of the resources that are available to you, both in terms of what's at the courthouse, getting an injunction, but also in terms of things like counseling, shelter resources, and other types of valuable resources that are afforded by places like the Spring in Hillsborough County and CASA in Pinellas County.
So, Michael, if anyone watching this segment has been a victim of domestic violence, what would you say their next move should be to get protection?
Next move is to call 911 and report it and to get help from law enforcement. And then after that, you can always reach out to us or people who provide services like us.
All right, Michael Lundy, we appreciate you sharing this information with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. And remember, you can visit olalaw.com or call 813-254-8998 for more information. Daytime will be right back.
The preceding portion of Daytime was sponsored by Older, Lundy, Alvarez, Koch, and Martino.